Ignition sequence starts. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to our very first episode of the Coach's Corner. My name is Matt Werman, and I'll be your host tonight as we take a look at the upcoming basketball seasons for both the men's and women's teams at McNicholas High School. I'll be joined in studio tonight by Coach Gregg Flammer, head coach of the women's basketball program, and then we'll be joined remotely by Coach Tim Monahan, head coach of the men's basketball program, a little later on. Lastly, we'll wrap things up with an interview I had with Drew Schmidt, athletic director at McNicholas High School, to discuss how COVID-19 will be affecting the 2020-2021 winter sports seasons. Following some fantastic seasons from the football and volleyball teams this fall, the men's and women's basketball programs are looking to continue the Rockets' success, as the women's team has already kicked off their season with 2 games, falling to Milford on Friday, but then bouncing back and taking a win over Marymount in the home opener last night. With that, I'd like to welcome in Coach Gregg Flammer. Coach, thanks for being here tonight.
No, I appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Well, let's see if we can get your microphone working here. There we go. Yeah, you're working.
Okay. Yeah, it's good to be here. Thanks.
Thank you so much. All right, so before we get into this season, let's talk a little bit about last season. You guys finished off the regular season at 4-18, 2-12 in league play, placing you guys at the bottom of the GCL co-ed. What do you learn from a season like that as you try to move forward this season?
You learn that losing is not fun, that's for sure. But obviously you try and learn from every experience. And one thing about last year, we battled every game. Our league was fantastic last year. Our schedule was extremely hard, and we were in a lot of games. We won a few big games at Purcell, beat Purcell in a league game. So we had some wins and some good effort all year. Made a little run in the tournament, won a overtime game on a buzzer beater, our first round, and then lost a close game in the sectional final. So I like to think that as the year went on, we progressed and never quit working. The kids never quit working, and made a nice little representation in the tournament. So
yeah, and you talk about never quitting working, and that showed in the Milford game on Friday. You guys were down by 19 at one point, and then they kind of bounced back. Coming into this season, not only do you lose 3 seniors from last year, Tara Rammel, Maddie Kochi, and Lydia Gigan, but then in the offseason you also lose Gracie Barnes to transfer. How does your team bounce back after losing some your top 2 scorers from last season to graduation and transfer?
Well, you try not to focus on what you've lost and versus what you have. And we had leaders like Emma McSwiggan, Haven Dwyer, Jasmine Elam, all seniors that were ready to step in. And, again, you could get totally discouraged if you look at our record last year, and these kids never did. I think those 3 seniors and everybody involved with the team is looking forward to this year. And I think they know that we were in most games last year. We ended the season good with a run in the tournament, 2 really solid games in the tournament. And I just really feel like they were ready to move up. And instead of, again, focusing on what we lost, I want to look at those kids and say, hey, this is your chance to shine. And so far they're all taken up on that.
Yeah, and so, something you picked up this year, you pick up a transfer of your own this year in Casey Badalak, who really stepped up in that first game against the Milford Eagles on Friday, scoring 17. How valuable is it to have someone like Casey be able to come in and add some much-needed point production to the team?
Well, Casey is a pure basketball player. I mean, she loves the game. She works at the game. Not a practice goes by. She doesn't stay 30 minutes after. I just tell her to lock the door when she leaves, and she's one of those kind of kids, a gym rat. And I think she has earned respect right away from the other kids. And it's hard coming from another school, and then you're coming into a senior-laden team, And I mean, sometimes it can be hard for somebody like her, and she's earned the respect of these other kids at a really fast pace, and she deserves all the respect. She's a hard worker, really hard worker.
Yeah, and so, coming in and having such a hard worker, but unfortunately due to transfer rules, she'll only be able to be with you guys for half the season. Yeah. How do you fill in that production gap once her time is up?
I might have an answer for you hopefully in a few weeks, but no, what we talk about is encouraging others to step up. Just like last night, Casey had a really off night shooting the ball. I think she was 0 for 12, scored 2 points, and that was on 2 foul shots. But then you had Haven Dwyer step up like a beast last night, and Aaron Byrne really step up her game last night. And we just got to keep stressing to these kids that we're going to ride Casey as long as she's here, but when she's gone, we want that train to keep going. So hopefully they're ready for the challenge. And these kids, they've always been ready for a challenge, and hopefully they'll continue that.
Yeah, and Casey, like you said, had a bit of a cold hand, but stepped up defensively for the team last night, which was fantastic. But then Haven Dwyer coming in with 14 points really kind of put things back on the map for you guys offensively. It seems like there were those girls that were able to just fill in the gaps fairly nicely, even when Casey was having an off night. Mm-hmm. So shifting gears just a little bit, you certainly aren't hurting for senior leadership this season. You got 8 seniors on the roster. Who do you look to step up and kind of lead the team this year?
Emma McSwiggan to start with. If you've watched us play, you know she's what makes us go. She played every second of the game against Milford. I took her out for maybe 2 minutes last night at the end of a quarter just to give her a break. The kid just is relentless, just keeps going. She'll hit the ground hard, and she'll say, I'm all right, Coach, I'm all right. And she is who everybody looks to. She's my point guard. I mean, and she's my extension on the court. And she finds the open player. She pushes the ball when it needs to be pushed. We got pretty good communication between her and I. She's learning when, hey, we got to notch it back a little bit. My style kind of fits hers because I want to go and I want to let the kids play basketball. And Emma is, if you let that kid go and make plays, she's going to do some really, really good things. So, and then also Haven Dwyer. Haven's just, again, her work ethic is second to none. She comes every day, every drill, every sprint. She is what you saw last night, that effort she gives last night. She's about 5'4" or whatever, 5'5". She guards the girls that are 6 foot tall, and I never tell her to go guard them. She just, I'm that kid, I'm going to go guard her. So she knows her role, and, she might be limited size-wise and, true basketball ability, and she makes up for it in what she's got in her heart, and that can take you a long way, take a team a long way.
Yeah, and she shows that, I'm a softball coach, and so, you see that a lot on the field from her as well, is just that ability to stay late, do the extra work when she's not on the field, and just putting in all that time and effort. Your roster this season has kind of that core of strong athletes as well, with the majority, if not all, your players playing multiple sports. How does that athleticism translate onto the basketball court?
Soccer always, they come and they're great athletes. They can get up and down the floor. Kids like Sarah Browning and Aaron Byrne, and we got several other soccer players. And they usually come, they work a little more on their soccer skills, to be honest with you. And but they bring conditioning to the game. They bring some tenacity. I think soccer kind of brings that out of them. The getting up and down the field or the court and playing a little physical when you have to. And I just think they bring that level. And that's the way we got to play. We're small. We need to play a bunch of athletes. We're going to press a lot. And we're going to use everybody we got on our bench.
So we've talked a lot about the people that have kind of stepped up already this season. Are there any standouts that you've seen early on in practice in the first couple games that maybe have surprised you coming in from last year or the year before?
So Sophia Barton is a senior who is, again, she goes out on the floor and gives you 110%. every second she's out there. Small, limited basketball ability, but gives you every ounce she has, everything she has. We'll put her in as a defensive substitution, and she'll get after it a lot. She's another one that stays late and shoots. Her shot is improving. Her offensive skills are improving. She has to just know her role, and I think you're gonna see her getting off the bench a little more and giving us some good defensive moments more than anything else. And Jasmine Elam has stepped up and has been a really steady player for us. She was solid the end of last year for us, and has really stepped up. She was voted captain, one of our 3 captains, and no, she has also stepped her game up. I'm pushing her to step it up a little more, look for her shots a little more, and be the one we want to go to.
Absolutely. And so now we need to talk a little bit about the elephant in the room, obviously, this year with COVID. Restrictions this year to affect the complexion of playing basketball this winter. Does that, the lack of crowd play a factor for your girls?
It does for sure. Just the excitement in the gym is not quite there, just because I think everybody feels like there's restrictions. The fans, even though they're there, they're watching the game, I think everybody in the back of their mind is thinking maybe more about COVID and this and that than just enjoying a basketball game. And I fall into it a little bit myself as a coach. I'm sitting there and just all the preparation for games is just different. I got to worry about who's coming in. We're emptying the gym, getting people back in, where everybody has to sit, and what different things the refs are doing. This is my 12th year here at McNick, and you get in the habit of things, game day and different things like that, and routines that you have, and everything's been different this year. Everything has been different, just from the way you communicate with the refs, the other coaches, and I think the fans feel that. I really do, and I think if we can keep this thing going, and we get some games under our belt, everybody's going to feel a little more comfortable with being there, and I think it might get some more semblance of normal. I hope.
Yeah, and that was definitely kind of on display last night. We were out there for broadcasting the girls' match last night, and just being able to hear the announcers and being able to hear the referees during the game, obviously that's got to be a little distracting for them. So,
oh yeah. So I think everybody's adjusting, and I think we all have to be patient with everything. And sometimes that's not a strong point of my patience, but trying to develop that, and I think I better sooner than later.
Yeah, this is the perfect time to.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's talk a little bit about the tough one, the loss to Milford. You guys you fell behind at one point by 19, but you guys came fighting back and cut the deficit to single digits at one point. What allowed for the girls to kind of come battling back, and what did you say to kind of spur them on?
Yeah, we got down in the first half. We shot 5 for 22 in the first half. We were getting good looks. We were getting to the foul line, and just nothing offensively went well. They knocked down some threes right at the end of the half, which pushed that lead a little bit. I think it was maybe 7 or something like that at half. And then they came out in the second half, and they hit several threes in a row. They were a very good shooting team, well coached. Dave does a great job with them. And basically, we just, you just say, hey, let's do our thing. We gotta put the ball in the basket. We gotta focus. We picked up the pressure defensively, and we got some steals, 3 or 4 stops and scores, and got it down to 7, I believe. And we made a great stop on the one end with about 4 minutes left, and they somehow picked up a loose ball rebound, kicked it out, and to their good 3-point shooter, and she knocked it down, and they went up 10, and that was kind of it. But we battled. We battled all night, and I watched the game on film, and I have no complaints. We went 15 for 30 from the foul line, and did not shoot the ball real well, and still were right there with 4 minutes left where we wanted to be. We wanted to be up 7, but from where we started, we wanted to be there. And no complaints. They worked hard. That's all. As a coach, all you want those kids every day. You want people to leave the gym and say, that team plays hard, and that's the way we walked away. So no disappointments.
So before we let you go, what are the goals for this season?
Always GCL. That's the big thing. Our league is really strong. The games are so much fun to play in. Every team has become a rivalry week. So basically, once your league schedule starts, it's a rivalry game coming up every week, and it to me it's fun, and I think the kids know that too. I want to have a successful season. A successful season is not always 15 wins, 18 wins. My personal goal every year is I like to get 15 wins. We get 15 wins, we get a nice tournament seed, and hopefully make a run in the tournament. The way our schedule has been lately, it's tough. We play a brutal schedule, and when tournament draw comes around, most teams recognize that. So I think we still get a lot of respect for the schedule we play from coaches that look at the whole picture. But seniors, I'm big on seniors, and I want the seniors to walk away from this and know that they had a successful last year, their team had a successful last year, and to look back on it, 6 months from now and say, you know what, I'm glad I played basketball. I'm glad I competed. And that's really all I want. I want the kids to walk away. I want to win, obviously. I'll never say that I don't. But I want the kids to walk away and this to be a great experience for them. Because if they have a great experience and we compete every day, then I have a great experience. And that's my goals.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and good luck this season. We're looking forward to talking to you a lot more in the future here.
Thank you. I appreciate it a lot.
Well, after last night's matchup against Marymount, Andy Edwards was able to catch up with Haven Dwyer, the leading scorer against the Warriors. Let's hear what she had to say.
For the first win of the season, how does it feel?
It feels good. After I lost in Milford, we needed to come back and win.
Of course. Ball movement was key early in the game. Was that part of the gameplay?
Yeah, that's part of our offense, is just moving the ball because we're not very big, so we need to make good cuts.
Okay. It was pretty physical matchup tonight with a lot of bumps and everything. How do you prepare for such a physical game?
Our practices are pretty physical. We go at each other, so it helps.
Awesome. What did the coach have to say at halftime after going down by one and at the last second?
He said that our offense was going good and that we needed to keep cutting and playing how we were, and that our defense just needed to get tighter and we needed to shut down their inside players and their shooters.
Great. And last question, the second half was all McNick. So what changed?
I think we really focused on our defense and made sure we were shutting them down and stopping them.
Awesome. Thank you. Great game.
Thank you.
And that was Haven Dwyer with Andy Edwards last night after the Marymount match win for the Rockets. I'm now here with Coach Tim Monahan. He's graciously joined us for tonight through the magic of Microsoft Teams. We're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming men's basketball season, which kicks off Friday, December 4th at Roger Bacon. Tim, thanks so much for being able to call in and allow us to ask you some questions.
Oh, anytime, man. Anytime.
There may be a little bit of a delay, as you notice, as we go through, but everybody just, bear with us, obviously, technology. But, Tim, you're heading into your 12th season as head coach of the Rockets. How does it feel to have a tenure as long as you've had and be as successful as you've been?
I've been very blessed to coach at McNick and be a graduate in '96. Just the tradition McNick has, basketball, and Coach Durger giving me that opportunity when I was a young 18-year-old taking over a freshman team, and I've been a part of McNick ever since, and I don't plan on going anywhere else. I love this place, and I love coaching here.
Yeah, so I don't want to gas you up a little too hard here, but you've racked up 148 wins in your time at McNick, and will most likely reach 150 wins this year in short order. You're the second winningest coach at McNick behind Jerry Durger. and hold the record as the fastest and youngest coach to reach 100 wins in McNick history. You have to be somewhat humbled by those numbers.
Yeah. I do, and it's, I tell our guys too, like it's a team program effort. I've been very lucky to have a great coaching staff since year one, and that's what it is. It's been one of those things when you surround yourself with great coaches and players that buy into a program, you'll see success. It's not, in basketball, it's not just one person. It's a whole program. And that's something that, seeing our guys come in and day out, year in and year out, buying into it, working their tails off. I think you'll see wins like that. But, I can't, it's the staff that I have, from year one till year 12. And it's the players that commit and love the game. I think that's why we have what we have.
Now, your team finished last season 17-6 and 10-4 in the GCL co-ed. That left you tied for second with Baden. You had a comeback, and you had a lot of comeback and last-second wins throughout the season, and then had a fantastic run in the tournament that rallied a lot of fan support. What does a season like that do for the confidence and morale of your team heading into a new season?
Yeah, there was never a dull moment last year with that team. That was a fun team, and it was an exciting team to coach, and we had a lot of great support from the school and community last year, and the last few years it's been awesome. I mean, it's just been great. But we, moving to this year, I've got 6 guys from that team last year that are a part of our squad this year. So, they were a part of those buzzer beater shots and those tough grind out GCL wins. So they know what it takes. They've been in those situations. So I think having that experience this year, based on the last year and some of those guys, 2-year varsity guys, we're gonna lean on that to get us through and have a successful year this year.
So your teams have always you've always been very great at finding a rallying cry for each season, and this year is no exception. You guys, tell me a little bit about Embrace the Chase.
Yeah, that's something I like to do. I think it's cool to the mottos, and I let our guys come up with a motto, and especially our seniors. Like last year, there was Restore the Legacy, and just that was about tradition and McNick and fulfilling those shoes from all those McNick teams from last year. This year, Embrace the Chase. The seniors presented it a few weeks back and talked about what that motto meant. They came up with the motto and really what it means. And it's, Embrace the Chase is that day-to-day grind, that journey, living in the moment, every day, taking every practice, as if it's preparing for a state championship, and living in the moment. And the way things have been going in 2020, you just don't know when it could end. So that's kind of what our message has been: is every day you're living for that moment. Don't look ahead. Don't dwell in the past. And that's embracing that every day, that day-to-day grind, and that journey to reach Columbus. That's the motto that the players introduced, and I love it. I think it's a great motto for this year.
So let's talk a little bit about your leaders. This year, you named Caden Conrad and Max Minardi as the captains for this season. What did you see in them that ultimately led to them being selected as captains?
Yeah, we probably do captains a little differently than some other programs. One thing we do is we have them apply like an application, like they're going for a job. And, it's open to anyone. It doesn't matter, senior, freshman, junior, on the varsity. And we give them a series of questions that, they answer truthfully and put them in different scenarios, on the good and the challenging task of being a leader. So once they apply, I review, read them, and we put them on a ballot. So only those that apply get put on a ballot, and varsity players and the coaching staff are the only ones that vote. And Max and Caden really ran away with it, in their votes between the coaches and the players. Max his off season was tremendous. His commitment, he really was impressive this year. And I think what he put in this off season and this season leading up, all the way up through here, and his vocal leadership, I think that's what really won it, and that's really impressed me. I love that. I love his energy. Caden was a captain last year as a junior. He's just a great floor leader. He's like having another coach on the court, smart player, and he puts the team first. But I told our guys, those two guys are named captain, and I expect a lot from them. But like I said, we have 6 seniors this year, and even the juniors and the sophomores that are with our program, it doesn't matter. We expect to have every one of those guys lead by example, and at some point this year, step up and make this team strong.
So obviously we have to talk a little bit about the loss of Larry Kosciuszko. I didn't let Coach Flammer go on this question either. So
yeah.
Larry was quite a spark plug for the team last year, making some of those big shots when they mattered the most. This year he transferred to International Sports Academy in Willoughby, Ohio for his senior season. How do you make up for a loss like that?
I tell our guys, when there are going to be times in life that you got to make like really tough decisions. And some of those decisions are going to impact yourself and others around you. And I think Larry had that big decision he had to make this summer. And I wish him the best. And I hope he has a great year and moving forward and he achieves what he wants. But I'll tell you what, I love our team this year. And it's really not about one person losing Larry or any of that. I think we have the makeup of guys that can fill those voids from the guys that we lost last year. And I think those guys can step up and truly be leaders and fill in the gap that we lose with Larry and with Evan too and those guys. So I'm excited for this squad. I really am. I think this group of seniors are great kids, and I think they're going to work their tails off.
Yeah, and that kind of jumps into my next couple questions, actually. You lose Evan Bruno to graduation. He was a big part of your team, averaging 15 points a game, 8.7 rebounds. But this year you guys come back with a solid core of seniors, Caden Conrad, Carson Seaman, Nick Schulte, Max Minardi. Do you think they can kind of pick up where they've left off last season, and what in practices so far has kind of led you to think that this season's going to be just as successful as last?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to have anybody dunking like Evan. I mean, I don't think we've had a lot of people that can the athleticism as Evan Bruno has had. He was a special player, and he really created and turned the tide for us in some things. But you know what? I 100% expect our guys, Caden, Nick, Max, Connor, Schulte and the other seniors, Clay and Cars. I 100% expect those guys to step up, and be leaders. This is their last year, and we're hoping to get a full season in. I mean, we go day to day. And I think if I have to try to pump them up or motivate them, to practice or to play, then we might have bigger issues. But I don't feel that for this group. I think these guys are going to be ready to go. I think they understand the importance. I think they understand this is their last year to lace them up. And it could be their last year for forever, and I know it's different with the whole COVID stuff, but this is an opportunity to represent your school and leave it out there, and that's kind of what we expect. So I feel good about it. I feel good about our seniors and the other guys too, not just them. I think we have a good group of guys, and I expect those seniors to lead, to be the leaders of this team.
Yeah, so talking about one of those seniors, Max Minardi, recently we've seen him walk in the halls in a boot. Will he be ready for the start of the season?
He's telling me he is. So, and that's Max. I mean, that's just how he is. I mean, he is great. He's been the loudest. He works his tail off and he's trying to get him back on the court himself and through therapy and icing and he's doing everything he can to get on the court, when he's on the sideline, he's the loudest guy. I mean, he's coaching on the sideline, yelling. He's talking. It's great. Those are the type of players that I absolutely love. I mean, guys like that. You don't have to be superstar athletes for me. It's just like I need guys that are going to be all in, that dive for those loose balls, that do the dirty work. I mean, that's what makes teams successful. And I think that's why Max was able to get the captain role. And he's going to fight like crazy to get back. And he tells me he'll be ready by December 4th. And honestly, I believe him. I think he's going to work hard to get back. But he's been a great leader for us, and I'm really proud of what he's done, and I hope he continues to do it this year.
So obviously, as part of every interview this year, you always have to talk about COVID restrictions. Last year, you guys were able to squeeze your season in just before COVID-19 hit, and this year you'll be playing under the shadow of restrictions. Typically, you play in front of a full gym at McNick. How does that lack of a large crowd change things for the guys this season?
I mean, it'll be an adjustment. It's one of those things where we've had our home games typically have been sold out, and our student sections is the best in the state. I mean, they really are. I mean, it's unreal to see that, and it gives me goosebumps when E or somebody will throw it down, and just to see how our student section and just the community too, how they really rally behind our program. So honestly, I think at the end of the day, the guys just want to play. They just want to be able to lace it and play and have a season. So I think it'll be an adjustment, not having that and just the roar of the crowd. But I think at the end of the day, they're going to get out there and they'll create their own energy, and we'll find ways to kind of compensate for that loud student section. We're thinking about doing like cardboard students or something, have some of the kids' faces in there. So we'll figure it out. But it's one of those things where now we got to have the loudest bench, in the gym. So we got to create our own energy now. So I think our guys will be up for the challenge, and we can do that.
Absolutely. And so as we wrap things up, I'm going to end things the way I ended with Coach Flammer. What are your goals and expectations for the team this season?
Our goals don't change. I mean, we want to get to Columbus and have a chance to play for a state title in mid-March this year. Those are the goals the seniors have put forth, to continue to play as long as we can. Playing in this league, the GCL, which I think is the best league in the state. It's always tough. Winning this league is another big goal for us this year. The league is going to be very competitive, as it always is every year. So that'll be one of our goals as well. But reaching Columbus, winning the state title, those are the things. And winning the GCL, those are the things that our guys are going to put forth and one of the goals that they set. So I love it. I think it's something that they understand, and I think it goes with the motto, embrace the chase, and understanding this is what they want, and they got to work extremely hard if they want to get that.
Well, thanks again, Coach. It's been great talking to you, and can't wait to see what you guys get up to this season.
Great. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right, and the men's basketball team kicks off their season on December 4th at Roger Bacon, and they will return to McNick on December 11th after taking on the reigning GCL co-ed champions Alter Knights on December 8th in Kettering. Last week, I got to sit down with Athletic Director Drew Schmidt to talk a little bit about the challenges of putting on winter sports as our region heads into a spike of COVID cases. Here is that interview. Coming into the position of athletic director in a time of a pandemic has certainly been a task. You've said before that the McNick athletic director position was a dream job for you. Was this how you envisioned the start of that dream job?
That's funny. No, it's not. Not at all. But I keep telling people I wouldn't want to be doing this anywhere else, just as I wanted it my dream job. I think this pandemic has put a strain on a lot of athletic directors in this country. I'm going to say I'm a little blind to what the normal experience is, so I think I'm at an advantage compared to it because I'm coming in fresh with a lot of energy. And again, I couldn't imagine myself doing this anywhere else. So I'm going to say I never envisioned it, but I keep telling my family that let's weather the storm, and the next 25 years are going to be a piece of cake. So, I have that in my mind of, I guess, taking it as an advantage. I can, use this year to make the rest of the years feel easy and whole heck of a lot more fun than I even imagined I could have had.
Yeah. So you've obviously had to handle a lot of things being thrown at you this year, from regulations to state inspectors coming in to monitor athletic events. What has been the hardest part of all of this?
I think just seeing the kids not being able to enjoy the entire experience that we're all accustomed to. You know, kids not being able to be in the stands, or students not being able to be in the stands for their friends. Kids having to follow extra regulations on top of the responsibilities that they've already needed to have to be an athlete. It's hard for me to see that they're not getting the full experience, but it obviously beats the alternative where they wouldn't be getting an experience at all.
Yeah. So throughout all the craziness, you've managed to successfully pull off a football, soccer, and volleyball season in the fall. What has been the key to that success?
Our support staff, which starts with Susan, Tim, Matt Schneider. We have an intern from Xavier. His name's Nathan, all the way through to the coaches, athletes, and even the families. You know, everybody's, for the most part, has put their personal, opinions aside, and I think that's been key in allowing us to buy into the fact that all that matters is turning on the scoreboards and turning on the lights and allowing the kids to at least get some normalcy for the amount of time they're in a game. And our teams off campus did an incredible job as well. The golfers, the tennis players, the cross-country players, or cross-country athletes, the cheerleaders, everybody's done an awesome job with those support staffs as well. So the families have been key and huge in driving the train to allow us to get through fall with 99% of it without a hiccup.
Yeah. And I think part of that success as well is the fact that you've helped implement the NFHS cameras here at McNick. Tell us a little bit about how that came about.
I was approached a few weeks after I was named the athletic director, and BSN Sports offered to, pretty much give us these cameras. And it was a no-brainer. Just, I'm going to say forward thinking from a handful of people to understanding we were probably either going to be very restricted or no fans at all. And I think it was key in that forward thinking to at least have some type of opportunity to allow us to broadcast or offer family and friends that can't be here on campus to watch sports the opportunity to see our athletes compete, which has in turn provided another opportunity for you and all your students to do one, I'm going to keep it nice here, one heck of a job, marketing our sports and athletics programs.
Yeah, so on the backs of that, obviously, talking a little bit about that, you've helped expand the McNicholas Broadcasting Network into new territory and given those students an opportunity to dabble in sports broadcasting. Was that an unforeseen perk or all part of the master plan?
I got a few tricks in the bag. It was definitely thought of. I've been working on a plan for this specific position for at least 10 years now. It obviously goes back to my freshman year of high school when I was thinking about wanting this job, but it's more evolved the older I've gotten and the more experience I've gotten through athletics and sports. And I want to provide McNicholas with more than just turning the lights and the scoreboards on. And part of that is trying to think outside the box and giving our students above and beyond just the athletes opportunities to succeed in anything or have the opportunity to participate in a lot of things that revolve around athletics, because it's not just athletes and coaches. There's managers, there's trainers, there's a broadcasting team now. the game day operations isn't just what people see on the field or on the court. And that's what I want to give any kid that wants to have the opportunity to do something involved in athletics, to give them that outlet.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about winter sports and some of the regulations that fans can expect. Obviously, we're seeing a surge of COVID cases right now in the region, and that's obviously had an impact on regulations that you're having to deal with. What has kind of changed from fall sports to winter sports, and what has stayed the same?
The capacity is going to be a lot less than the winter sports, or than the fall sports, I'm sorry. Our stage is going to look a lot different, as some of our students have probably seen. We have the auxiliary gym bleachers on the stage now because we have to have the basketball benches on the stage. 2 rows of the basketball benches don't allow for our regular bleachers to be out properly, so we had to roll in auxiliary gym bleachers, which narrows down a little bit of attendance, not necessarily for our home team, but for the visitors. So I guess if there's any year to have home court advantage, it's this year. So that'll look a little different. Obviously, with the heightened spike and everything, I think we're going to be a little bit more on edge or on eggshells, because we're going to be in a small gym compared to being outside with lots of room to move around for only a couple hundred people, where we're going to have probably 170, give or take a few, depending on how big the rosters are inside the gym. But I'm sure they're going to be sending inspectors and everything, so our support staff and our office personnel are probably going to be a little bit more on edge, trying to keep people, within the proper protocol to allow our kids to have their season. That's all it's coming down to.
Yeah. And this is not a question I had prepared, but it's something that has popped up in my head the past couple of days. How do you have a wrestling season during something like this?
The running joke between a lot of athletic directors right now is, if the kids don't shake hands before the match and after the match, apparently they're okay. I'm not sure how it's going to be executed or how it's going to go. Obviously, I'm excited for our few kids that are going to get the opportunity to wrestle. I know we have a couple of good ones, and before we even wrestle a match, we got a guy who everybody's excited to hopefully see in Columbus this year. So whatever we need to do to make it fly and make it work, we're going to exhaust all resources to be able to do that.
So I know you and I talked briefly earlier in the week, and you kind of mentioned to me that the number of fans allowed in the gymnasium is likely to be even lower than you had initially expected. What is the number of fans that can be in attendance, and what were your initial expectations?
So we were allowed 188, with eliminating the big bleacher in the stage. We're probably going to be down to around, I'm going to say between 160 or 170, and give or take a few there, because it depends on the size of rosters and how many tickets we're going to allow to, our freshmen, for boys basketball, our freshman JV and varsity levels have different amounts of players. So we have to draw a hard line on how many tickets we can offer each kid, so that we're obviously not over capacity. Our girls teams, the JV and varsity teams, have a handful of different numbers of people or numbers of athletes. So, they only have 2 teams we have to worry about as opposed to 3. So that number might be a little bit different for the girls compared to the boys. But we're going to have a hard number and a hard set of protocols for the first couple of weeks. And then if we can hopefully adjust for the better, we will.
Mm-hmm. And so that kind of leads into the next question. Obviously this has an impact on the number of tickets that players can have for their family and friends. What does that look like right now? Do you have any idea on how many tickets players are going to get?
Right now we have it set at 6 for McNick athletes and 2 for the for the visiting athletes. That gets us around that 160, 170 mark that we'll feel comfortable operating a game day with. Right, wrong, indifferent. That's what we're going to go with right now. And as I said, if we can adjust properly for the better, we will. I hope it's not for the worse, but whatever we need to do to allow our basketball players and any athletes that compete here on campus, we'll do whatever we need to do.
Yeah. One last question before we let you go. What keeps you up at night these days?
My little boy. Just the fear that these kids aren't going to be able to compete. You know, what can I do, or what can our athletic staff do in order to allow that to happen? And you try to come up with millions and hundreds and thousands of ideas to control what we can control. And then you lay your head down and you see the state of Kentucky's delayed until after Christmas. Michigan is on the brink of, do we play sports or do we not play sports? West Virginia suspended their activities. So every time you turn your head, there's something new. And my pillow is kind of like eggshells right now, and I lay it down lightly, wondering what's going to happen tomorrow when I wake up. It's not rocket science. I obviously know it's not the end of the world, but I'm here to provide our families and these athletes with an experience, and sometimes there's only so much you can do, and that definitely keeps me up at night because I love sports just as much as the next guy or gal, and I don't want that ripped out from underneath us.
Yeah, that's the age-old question is what's going to happen, at this point. You just wait and take it one day at a time. Well, thanks so much for taking some time out of what I can imagine is a crazy hectic schedule right now. And thanks for everything that you're doing for McNick Athletics. It's obviously been a drastic difference from years in the past. So your leadership has definitely kept this program moving forward during these chaotic times, and we appreciate it.
Thanks. I appreciate your leadership, the broadcast team. That's to be able to offer that and for somebody to take that and run with it. It's been incredible for our exposure and what people are talking about and the access that people have to our sports. And I appreciate that. I also appreciate and want to give a shout out to all the people of McNick who are, like I said, putting their personal opinions aside for these kids and busting their butt and doing extras that none of us truly want to do. But in life, sometimes there's things we don't want to do that we have to do. And I truly appreciate all that from everybody out there. So thank you.
Thank you. And that was Athletic Director Drew Schmidt, who sat down with me last week to chat about his first year as Athletic Director at McNick. Just in a last-minute update, OHSAA has passed down a new restriction for winter sports. Only parents will be allowed to attend matches going forward. The athletic department will send out more information to families as soon as they have it. Before we wrap up this episode, we want to let you know about some upcoming opportunities to cheer on your Rockets. The women's basketball team will be heading to Kettering to take on Alter Saturday the 28th at 2 p.m. Next week, bowling will be taking on CJ at Cherry Grove Lanes on Tuesday, followed up by Baden on Thursday at Northwest Lanes. You'll be able to catch all of the home men's and women's basketball games this season on the NFHS network with play-by-play and color commentary from the McNicholas Broadcasting Network. Be sure to subscribe to the NFHS network if you haven't already so you never miss out on any of your Rockets basketball. I want to say thanks to Coach Flammer and Coach Monahan for stopping by the studio tonight before heading off for their Thanksgiving holidays. And a big thank you to Athletic Director Drew Schmidt for spending some time with me on Friday to talk about the upcoming seasons and the challenges he faced making these seasons a reality. We hope to bring you this show on a weekly basis to keep you updated and give you more information on the storylines surrounding McNicholas High School sports. Stay tuned to the Twitter accounts of McNicholas Athletics and the McNicholas Broadcasting Network to find all of our updates regarding upcoming programming. You can find us at MCN Athletics or at McNick Broadcast. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight, and don't forget to catch us next time. I'm Matt Werman. Stay healthy, Rockets, and happy Thanksgiving.